Hey y'all, and welcome to Peyton's Place, where life is made simple. Here on Peyton's Place, I'm going to talk to you about life as a young adult, all things college, and we'll talk about social activism or current things going on in the media as well. On this episode, I want to talk to you about how you can manifest the life that you want. I'm going to tell you how exactly I manifested the life that I want. I'm currently 24 and an assistant director at a university. Moved out of my hometown, bought the car I wanted, got a luxury apartment. And I'm going to give you the blueprint of how I was able to do all this. Before we get started, I want to ask you all to subscribe and hit that little bell to turn on your post notifications because you don't want to miss an episode. I'm coming with new content every Wednesday at 11 a.m. And just make sure you're tuned in. I want to thank everyone who's already subscribed. I appreciate you all so much. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. And with the way you all have been supporting me, we'll be there by the end of the year in no time. We're a little over 300 now, but I got faith in my tribe, and I know that you all will be able to get us there. But without further ado, I want to tell you all how you can manifest the life that you want. So let's get started. So I want to tell you all how I manifested the life that I currently live. I'm going to tell you all straight from the jump. Here at Peyton's Place, we believe in the power of prayer, okay? And my life is an example of that. So yes, I'm going to talk about manifestation, but the way I manifested also has to do with how I prayed and my beliefs. And whether you believe, if you believe in God, whatever, I'm not a channel where I'm pushing my beliefs on y'all at all. But I don't think, from my experience, manifesting, writing things down just isn't enough. So my thing that I say is pray, manifest, and put in the work. So you can't just write something down and say you're going to do it and then not put in the work to get there. There are things that I've written down that I haven't necessarily put in that work to get, and it hasn't came true. I haven't manifested it yet. So that's the things that I live by, and I also pray about things. And whether that's you just sitting down and speaking the things out loud, or claiming it, speaking it into existence, however you want to think of manifesting as a whole, that's how I approached it, and that's how I was able to get to this point today, where I feel like this is the life that I was dreaming about and wanting as a college student and as a younger person in high school as well. So I wrote everything down because I don't want to forget anything, but I want to just kind of just walk y'all through my journey. I graduated from University of Wisconsin, and I always knew I wanted to leave Wisconsin. So I love my city as far as being from there, but I just knew that that wasn't somewhere that I wanted to be long term. And so upon graduating, I knew I wanted to move somewhere, and I'm a very family oriented person. So I knew I needed to live somewhere where I had family. Obviously my immediate family still lives in Milwaukee, but I knew I needed to have some type of family where I could go to someone for holidays or talk to and have that connection where I'm not just alone in a city. And that's something that I knew I needed personally. So what I did is I wrote down a list of places. I actually might have the screenshot, so I'll share it in the video. But I wrote down a list of places in my notes and different cities that I felt like I could live in. And on there was Dallas, Houston, Charlotte, Chicago, a few places that I was just like, I feel like I could really start my career and build and grow in these cities. And I also had a list of my top places, where I would really want to go, and places where I'm like, this would be a good start for me. And Dallas was definitely on that list. So once I wrote down my list of cities, I started applying for jobs in all of the cities. I want to say it was 5 cities, but I don't remember the exact number. But I just wrote down where I wanted to live. If you can dream to live anywhere, where would you want to go? And that's what I wrote down. And then I started applying for jobs. And mind you all, anyone who is in that situation, or was just recently in that situation where you were a senior in college, you are trying to finish your last year of school, but you're also trying to find a job. And a lot of people, like I was working 2 jobs as well, in school, full-time, 18 credits, and also trying to find a job. And y'all know, most people know that looking for a job is a job itself. So it was a really stressful time, and it became different points where I kind of started to doubt that I would be able to secure a job before I graduated. And even if I didn't, like, you know, that wouldn't have been a problem, but it was just something that I wanted in order to feel really secure. So after I wrote down the places and I started applying for jobs, every morning I would wake up and I would pray, and I would just ask God to lead me in the right direction that He wanted me to be in. Allow me to go to the city where He saw me growing and being able to truly like be independent and grow into myself. I just wanted to go along the path that He already had set for me. So after I wrote down the things that I wanted, I prayed for His guidance to show me where I needed to be. And so, yeah, I applied for jobs. I didn't hear anything for like 2 months, and finals was coming up. I had to figure out, you know, graduation plans because it was COVID, so I couldn't have graduation. I was sad. I had to up and move and leave campus and come back home. So it was just a lot going on, and it was really stressful, but also I was just like, you know what, maybe I shouldn't leave. You know, it's a pandemic. Mind you, it was May of 2020, before anybody, and I mean, this was before May as well. This was like February, March, when things really hit, and nobody knew what COVID was. Nobody knew the extent that it was gonna have on us. And also, I just want to take a time to remember everyone that we have lost from COVID, because I know we just hit the 1 million person mark of losing people due to the coronavirus. So just to be aware of that as well. This was during a time where no one knew what COVID was. There weren't any vaccines. And just uncertainty all over. People were in person, moving out of person. Schools didn't know if they wanted to close or not close, go virtual. So it was just a very uncertain time for the whole world. And so to be graduating during this time was something I was very uncertain as well. So I finally got a job offer in Dallas, Texas. And that was, Dallas was my top choice for various reasons, but it was my top choice. And once I got that offer, I said, you know what, I'm taking it. It fits. It's what I'm looking for. Everything was there. And I graduated maybe like 2 weeks after I secured this job, and I graduated. And then 2 days later, I went and bought the car that I wanted. I bought my first car. I had a car before that, like, I didn't really like. I didn't buy it. It wasn't in my name. But this was my first car. Like, I bought it. Like, before I was just paying my parents the car note every month. But I was just like, I was in there buying my car. I picked it out, drove it, and I was just like, you know what, this is me. And I bought the car that day, and then 2 days after that, I moved to Dallas. I flew to Dallas, bought a one-way ticket, and never looked back. So my story is kind of interesting. I get to my job maybe like a week after moving, and I go to training, and I think I got to the 3rd day of training, and I'm just like, okay, like, you know, y'all didn't ask for the things that jobs typically ask for, like your where you want your direct deposit, like your bank account information, stuff like that. And it was like we were halfway through the first week of training, so I was just like, you know, when do you all want this information so I can make sure I get paid for training and stuff like this. And we had a contract and everything that was agreed upon, but at that point they were like, oh, training isn't paid. And y'all, I was at this place all day, you know, 8 hours a day. Also, it was a good 40-minute drive from where I was staying at the time. And they told me training wasn't paid. And then they also told me that instead of doing a base salary plus commission, due to COVID, they had to change it to 100% commission based.
Gotta go.
And at that point in time, I was like, this isn't what I signed up for. I didn't want the stress of depending on commission. And I just like not to pay for training for 2 to 3 weeks. That just didn't even seem legal. So, and I also needed money. Like, I just moved across the country. Like, I wasn't in a position where I could go 2 weeks to 3 weeks without any money. So I quit the job and I went back to the drawing board. I wrote down different fields that I could see myself in, different things that I felt like I wanted to do, different things I was passionate about, and I prayed about it. Every morning I prayed, every night I prayed, and I just would look over my manifestation book and just like pray over it. And I also have my book here for y'all. It's just says Boss Lady. I got it from Walmart or Target. I don't remember which one. But this is just basically where I was going in and writing my manifestation. So like I would write different colors, just like writing different things. I'm not gonna read everything because all of this stuff has not came true yet. But just like how I outline my manifestations, I started with I will. And then I listed 5 things that I will do, whether it be like long-term. These were mostly my long-term goals. So like I will make 6 figures. That was something I wrote down and prayed on. And then my next section was I'm grateful for it. And these are just things I'm grateful for in my life. I have like 5 things here: health, family, opportunities, independence. And then today I will. And those are things that I listed out that I wanted to do that day that I felt like would get me closer to my long-term goal. So I have different things here: plan for Peyton's Place, wake up at 7 a.m., workout, different things that I felt like I wanted to do. And then I have a this week I will. And this is where I set like a goal for myself for the week. And for this one, I said, pray every day and start my day talking to God. And then at the end, I just write things that I want to thank God for, or things that I want to do. So one week I said, I want to help someone in need today. Something else I said, I want to thank you, Lord, for the blessings you have in store for me. I pray I continue to follow the path you have set for me. So just random thoughts that I would have. This one I said, pray about everything and worry about nothing. Because like I was explaining, I was in a time of worry, y'all. Nothing was really certain at the time. I had just moved across the country, quit my job, was unemployed, and just trying to figure out life. So after that, I did DoorDash and Instacart. And I told y'all I moved to Texas, right? So this is like June in Texas, and it's currently May and it's 91 degrees outside. So it was 100 degrees most of these days. So, and I'm coming from Wisconsin where it was like 70 to 70, 75, really nice weather. That's workable weather. But I was doing DoorDash and Instacart in 100+ degree weather, and I was like, there has to be more than this. Like I knew this was something that I had to go through, and that I needed to do. But like just getting up every day and doing DoorDash or doing Instacart in a city where I wasn't familiar with, so driving around trying to find places was hard too, and it was very discouraging. So I really grounded and rooted myself in my manifestations and in my prayer. And I honestly think that's what allowed me to be in the position I'm in today. But I had to go through all of those steps in order to get here. So once I did DoorDash for like an Instacart for a few months, and then I was also reaching out to my network. And I know I mentioned that in one of my other videos where I talked about getting a job after college. I also mentioned it in one of the pros to moving out of your hometown. So I reached out to my network. I had a really strong network back in Milwaukee and Madison as well. And I was just, telling them my situation and asking if there was anyone they could connect me with so I could just, build my network here, or any opportunities that they may have. And once I did that, one of my mentors, they told me about a position on a presidential campaign. And so I was able to do that until November. And I actually ended up stopping that around like October, because I got another job. I got the job I just previously had at the University of Wisconsin as the communications and development specialist, within the Vice Chancellor's Office of Student Affairs. And I want to just go back to how I had wrote down the things I'm passionate about. One of the things I always put is helping people. I never really had a set path that I wanted to go on or a set field. I just knew I wanted to help people because I feel like I've been so blessed in my life and people have helped me to get to the place I am today, that I wanted to be able to give back and be able to help other people who may not have had that help or those blessings that I was able to have. So I also was very passionate about students, as being a recent graduate and having various different experiences at the University of Wisconsin. I was passionate about the student life and student experience that students of color specifically have on predominantly white campuses. So I had wrote all this stuff down previously, prayed on it, and I was offered this position to work completely remote for the University of Wisconsin and still live here in Dallas. And that was such a blessing because I didn't want to move back to Wisconsin, but I was also in a position where I'm like, God, if this is where you want me to be, then I'll do it. I'm gonna go where you want me to be. But I was just so glad that he saw me being here and that they were able to offer me a remote position with it being COVID. And it was a temp position. So it was originally a temp position for a year, and I did that for a year, and then they allowed me to come on and say I could be there for another year, still temp, not permanent yet. And I was working that job. But when I first moved to Texas, I moved in with my aunt, and that was something that just gave me stability to be able to save. But I knew I wanted to live and have my own apartment. I was a residential assistant for 3 years in college, and the 1 year I didn't live in the dorms, my parents paid for my apartment, where I lived with 6 people. So I was like, I just want my own space. Like, I want my own apartment. And so I wrote down the different areas I wanted to live in. I wrote down my budget, what I would want to pay, and I prayed on it. I went back to the drawing board like I did for the job, like I did when I wanted to move, and I prayed on it. And I went and toured one place, and I was like, this is just not it. I went to a second place, and that's where I ended up signing. So I looked at 2 apartments, and the second one was the one that I chose. And I mean, just to have my first apartment be like a luxury apartment was something that I would have never even dreamed of. But it was all manifested. Like, I wrote it down and I prayed on it, and it's just so much power in that. Like, things you don't even imagine or you don't even think could be realistic so quickly happen when you follow whatever it looks like for you and manifest. Speak it out loud. I prayed. It can happen. So after that, I told you all that the job with the University of Wisconsin was temporary. And so I got to about, it was like January, and I was in like 2 roles. So I was a communications specialist, but I was also the development specialist, where I was the one of the leaders on the campaign for the Divine Nine Garden Plaza, which was a project that I had started back when I was a senior in college. So I was told that, my direct manager, she was getting promoted to get a new position, and I would potentially be able to apply to get her position, but things are moving really slowly. So this was January, and I'm a stressor if things aren't like, you know, I don't know what's going to happen. I like to know and plan and be organized. I think it's the Capricorn in me. But it was February, and I'm just like, okay, I still don't know what's going on. And my contract, I was able to work remote until June. So I'm like, okay, I got a few months, but I was also stressed, just like I needed that security of knowing what I was going to do next. So I was in a time of my life where, you know, I'm young. I was enjoying Dallas, living in a great city, but I found myself kind of trying to figure out exactly who I was as far as like this adult living in a new place. And like I had been working for a year, so like I was kind of coming into myself and trying to figure out what this looked like. You know, I was no longer like a recent graduate or a college student. Like I was like an adult. So I started changing my lifestyle and kind of prioritizing myself. So I started going out less, started spending less money by going out less. I turned into very much a homebody. I started consistently going to church every week. I started also going to Bible study weekly, changing the things that I listened to, the things that I was around, my environment, people, and things just really started looking up. And also during this time, I wrote down once again the things I was passionate about. And being in higher ed for a year and a half at that point, I was like, you know what, I really like this field. So I wrote down higher ed. I always wanted to get back in sports as well. I had worked for the Milwaukee Bucks for 2 years, so I wanted to do that as well. That was on my list. So I wrote down the different things I was passionate about and the different things I was looking for in a job, and I prayed about it every morning, prayed every night, prayed, and wrote things down in my book that, you know, I really felt like I wanted to do in my career next. And I was applying for jobs, and somebody came across my resume, and I was like, we connected. I did an interview. I went in for an interview, and I got the job. And I wasn't even like I was looking for jobs, but this job kind of found me. And that's really when I felt like, you know what, this is it. It was everything that I was looking for. And I went from being a communications specialist, and they were looking for someone who had more experience in that role, like 5 to 7 years. And I had about 2 years experience, like post, you know, graduating, but I've been doing this type of work since I was a sophomore in college. But they were looking for someone who had 5 to 7 years experience. Obviously nothing that I could fill. And then I got this offer to be an assistant director. So I went from a communication specialist where I was no longer qualified to being an assistant director, where these people saw something in me that qualified me to be in this role. And it's all in the stuff that I wrote down and I prayed for. Like, you can truly manifest the life that you want, and it's not gonna all fall into line. I mean, I was unemployed for 3 months doing DoorDash and Instacart out in the 100-degree weather, not knowing what was next for me, trying to figure out, you know, how to pay bills, and the stress of having to not have the security of a stable income. So like I had to go through that, and then I was able to things just started falling in line. And I don't give myself any credit for that. I always give the glory to God. That's just how I am and what I believe in. But I also put in the work to do it, because you can't just speak things and they just come to you. You know, you have to put in the work, and also do your part as well. So at this point, I've been in my position for a month now, and y'all, it is I love it. Like, I love my job. I love what I do. I love the people I work with. I went from working 100% remote to working 100% in person, which is something I was a little worried about. But this was something I feel like I needed. And I think it's been able to help me in so many ways that I wasn't even sure that I needed, honestly. So if I can do it, y'all could do it. Like, nothing was special about my situation. I moved across the country, quit a job because they lied about stuff, was unemployed. Like, it was so many things that happened for me to get to this point. But when I started manifesting and writing down what I was going to do today, what I was going to do this week, what I wanted long term, and when I prayed on it and I put in the work, like looking at my resume, looking at my cover letter, looking at jobs to see what exactly I can, how I can connect to this company, like spending hours a day applying for jobs. Like, you have to put in the work as well. But I always say, pray, manifest, and put in the work. And that's what I did. And I've been extremely blessed to be in the position I am today, work-wise, lifestyle-wise. Like, I'm just in a position where if I want to do something, I can do it. And that's a blessing, because as a college student, stressing about money or how I could do this, how I could do that, not being able to do this because I need to do something else, and to be in a position where it's like, okay, you know what? Like, when I was working remote, I was traveling once a month, like going to a new place every month. And I love traveling. That was something that I wrote down that I wanted to do and be able to do, was to travel. So to be able to have the freedom of time, but also the money as well to do that, was a blessing. And I don't really have the time as much now that I work in person, but I truly love my job and I love what I do. And it's been a blessing. It's been such a blessing to be an assistant director at the age of 24. I didn't even know that I was capable of this. So, and I think that's where God truly came in and showed me that, like, you can do this, like, you're ready. But it also came with me putting in that work and writing it down and manifesting it. So I hope this inspires somebody, or if you're trying to figure out, you don't know what you want to do with your life, write it down. Start talking to yourself. Like, I promise y'all not crazy. Like, it's worth it. And you'll see the difference in your life. But sometimes it takes some serious lifestyle changes to see that life that you truly want. I'm making some big changes now currently to continue to have those things that I'm manifesting now. And that's been difficult. It's not easy. It takes extreme discipline, and that's something that I've been struggling with this new lifestyle. Like, as far as working in person, it's been hard to stay disciplined with some of the things that were so easy to do working from home. So you're gonna have your ups and downs, but it'll all work out. Pray, manifest, and put in the work. I want to thank everyone for tuning in, and I want to once again ask you all to subscribe, turn on your post notifications as well, because every Wednesday I'm coming with new information, new topics, new things, and just hoping to, like, inspire somebody or give advice or just connect with people for y'all to be like, I feel you on that. So if there's anything that you all want me to talk about, please comment below. Like, share as well, and I will see you all next week on Peyton's Place.